Yo, what's good, people? The Onside Offside podcast back again, episode 2. And we've got lots to talk about. The Premier League has kicked off, European football has kicked off, international tournaments have started and finished. Let's get into it.
Game week 3 is coming up, so we might as well, we'll have to review game week 1 and 2. Any games that stood out for you, Dan, or any team that stood out for you?
I like the way Tottenham have started. The reason why I say that,
I don't even want to agree, but
Kane's gone, but I watched them against Man U the other day and they played good football. They was dominating the game, so I didn't expect that, so I like that from them. I think they made some good signings. I thought they would struggle with that Kane, but I feel that Maddison is creative, you know what I mean? Like if they get a good striker at the end of the window, they might, if they play the way they play,
they might
progress.
I like the way how Tottenham have started.
Are you allowed to say that?
Yeah,
He's an Arsenal fan, guys.
I'm just gonna say they from just as a neutral point of view.
Well, you don't like the way they started. They started well.
They've started well.
Alright, cool.
Maddison seems to have slotted in like he's been there for years. The absence of Kane doesn't seem to be troubling them. I feel like they still need a striker. Richarlison up front worries me.
Nah, man, he's like an attacking midfielder. He's not like gonna bang goals.
He's not.
What could be the answer? Lukaku?
I think they have Richarlison and they have Son. Those are two international footballers that lead the line for their those are two footballers that lead the line for their international teams. Those two are good enough. And Basuma behind
he just don't want them to get a baggy goal.
No, as much as I was saying as much as I was going against them or not agreeing or not wanting you to say you liked how they played Basuma and Maddison in the middle. It was amazing.
Basuma's a signing.
Even that young youth scored.
Yeah, they're right back.
No, but he's good.
Yeah,
he's good. But saw that little youth in the midfield,
again,
young Frenchman.
Yeah.
He's good.
So I don't want to be learning Tottenham players' names too tough because that means they're doing well. But
well, you know what that means. If you're watching this podcast, you ain't gonna be getting much Tottenham.
Well, and we start off with Tottenham, but no, they did start off. They have started the season well, a draw and a win. So yeah.
Anybody else that we think has started?
Brighton,
that's a good shot. What's that? 2 and 2.
They look menacing.
2 and 2, 8 goals scored.
Yep. Solly March. He's got a couple of goals.
And again, we have to big up Brighton because the losses they've had within the transfer window, McAllister and Casado, 2 big influential players within the club and kind of like the base of the team in centre midfield. So for them to still be doing good without them 2 players, and they haven't really brought in no crazy players with that money.
Yeah.
Like you've got Milner. I know he works hard and stuff, but he's a bit old, but still a good signing.
Their recruitment is really good.
What's funny, or it might not be funny to the ones that have left, but the 2 players that have left, one got a red card on the weekend, and the other gave away a penalty, and has made like all these memes made about him. And Brighton is sitting on top of the Premier League.
Yeah.
So it's like a win-win for them. Like, and no disrespect to the other 2 players, because I'm sure they will bounce back. Casado will come to life eventually, and McAllister. Well, we'll talk about the refereeing decisions later, but that red card got rescinded as well. So I'm sure he'll bounce back. I enjoyed watching Newcastle Aston Villa. I actually thought that was going to be maybe a 2-2. So I was very surprised to see Newcastle come out 5-1 winners. But I feel like Tyrone Mings' injury affected the result and that outcome. But Villa and Emery, they showed their bounce back ability by coming back in the next game and scoring 4, and also winning in Europe last night, hitting 5. So it just showed that Newcastle are definitely a force to be reckoned with this season. But that Aston Villa, you know, they were able to bounce back and show their strength. So 2 teams that I think last week we did say would be in the top 7 or 8 or 6 or 7 in the Premier League, and they showed that. So I was I like that game. And also Arsenal against Crystal Palace. I felt like, as an Arsenal fan, I felt like they were playing against the referee as well as Crystal Palace, and it was a hard fought victory against a stubborn Crystal Palace. Yeah. I felt Arsenal really ground that out a couple of seasons ago. They might have capitulated. They might have just fallen apart after getting that red card, which wasn't a red card. But I'm sure we'll talk about the referee performances in a little while.
They seem very organised.
And patient. So Aston Villa and Arsenal, those 2 teams have stood out for me over the past 2 weeks.
Just picking up on what you were saying about the Newcastle versus Villa game. I thought it was interesting that Newcastle got beaten by Man City in their following game, but they still showed enough to me to make me think they're still going to be a strong team in this league going forward.
Well, there was only a 1-0 victory, wasn't it? Or loss, I should say.
And they held their own, and I think they caused more than enough trouble to Man City to probably deserve at least a draw in that game. So Newcastle looking good.
Yeah, man, they're good. And you never know what they can do in the windows later on.
Exactly. One of the games that stood out for me was Chelsea-Liverpool. I felt like before this game kicked off, a lot of people were considering Liverpool to have strengthened and thought they might challenge for the title and that they might be strong.
Someone said they were going to finish top.
Not mentioning any names.
Yeah, but
They might.
Wait, hold on, get to your point though.
Yeah, let me get to my point. Let me land.
Go, do your thing.
But I feel like it was quite obvious that they've got a lot of work to do. I feel like Liverpool are maybe 3, maybe 4 signings off from being where they want to be. They're in a deep rebuilding process right now.
They just bought a new defensive midfielder though, the Japanese player. What do you reckon?
Now that to me that felt like a panic buy. Okay. That is not your first, second or third choice.
And no one really looked at him before. I never heard of him. I'll keep it real.
I've heard of him.
On the flip side, that could be a great buy if no one's looked at him and they've got him under the radar. Like all the time we keep hearing, all right, Brighton get these little players and then sell them off for big fees. Well, Liverpool have got this guy, 16, 17 mil.
Can I ask a question though? If he's 30, if he's 30 though, should we know about him by now? Like that? Sure.
I mean, I've seen him play, and I'm not saying he's a bad player. Like the time
did he catch your attention before?
In the games that I've seen him play, he did stand out.
Okay.
Especially for his national team. Yeah. But to me, it's a panic buy. It's not the kind of player that I would say Liverpool thought to themselves, you know what? Beginning of this transfer window, this is one of the players that we're looking for. I feel like they missed out on Lavia, they missed out on Caicedo. Yeah. There's probably like a few other players that they've missed out on that we don't know about, and they've just said, you know what, we need something because we've let go of Henderson, we've let go of Fabinho.
They're struggling.
They're struggling.
But I thought towards this, in the second half against Liverpool, Chelsea played really well. So I was then surprised to see them play against 10 men of West Ham in the second half and not overrun West Ham. I thought they finished the game against Liverpool really well. They started slow, but they didn't take that into the West Ham game. So yeah, that goes with what you're saying, like, well, what happened? But I thought they played quite well against Liverpool and was shocked at the West Ham result. I know it's a London derby, but they were playing against 10 men, missed a penalty, gave away a penalty.
It's difficult though, because playing against 10 men becomes a totally different game sometimes, and I feel what Chelsea are lacking, they don't have much control in the midfield.
105 mil, 115 mil.
It's not
That's a lot of money there, you know. It needs to be controlled in some field.
But even that, just going back to Brighton and what you're saying, Brighton bought Caicedo for £4 million. You get what I'm saying? So it just shows within the game you don't have to go and spend 100 million because there's a player right there for 8 million that can become a 100 million player.
Yeah, they can.
Can someone give this man a medal? Because that is literally what we're saying. You don't have to go out and spend 115 million pounds for a player who looks really good.
It's true.
Now, on the flip side of that, Brighton bought Caicedo for 4.5 million. Maybe he's a 4.5 million to 10 million pound rated player, really. Yeah, but everything's been inflated.
The market.
And yeah, it's all gone crazy. And I think the prices for players now have gone through the roof, and it's not making much sense.
I hear that, but we already know that them top 4, 6, 8 teams are not really going to want to spend 8 million on a player to play in the Champions League, in the latter stages of cup competitions, because they feel that they need that experienced, solid player to get the results straight away. So that's why these little clubs or the smaller clubs spend the small money, and then the bigger clubs will sit back and all right, cool, they took the risk. We'll just pay a little extra money. They took in the risk. We now can see that players got that potential, and that's how it works, isn't it?
What my point really was is that maybe Caicedo is not a top level player.
But he is, though. We know
he might not be.
From the way Arsenal and other teams were diving for him last year, he's not I'm not saying he's a British records fee player, but you know what Brighton done.
He's not proven.
Yeah, what Brighton done, they said, right, Chelsea will pay astronomical fees. Let's get him to sign this contract. Let's set the bar this high. Chelsea will pay it. Like,
but it's like
Chelsea will pay it.
It's a similar thing with Mudryk. He's not that value that Chelsea paid for him.
Again,
he's still raw, still learning, and he's still unproven. And I feel like these players that they're spending crazy money on, it's going to come back to bite them, because these players may not reach the level that they think they can. They're still just raw potential.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, spending 105 mil on Declan Rice is a little bit different.
What now? When Arsenal spent 72 million on Pepe?
See, now that was a similar kind of mistake.
So
they should they should have spent 72. It's true. They should have spent 72 mil on Pepe at that time. But there was a lot of things behind that deal that we probably don't know about. However, I will still stand by the fact that I think Pepe wasn't that bad, and I think Arsenal should integrate.
Was he worth 72 mil?
Not 72.
How much was he worth?
My ratings on players are different. Like, I'm old school, but I would have paid maybe about 25 to 30 mil for that player.
Okay.
That's my judgment.
You can't even sell him for that.
We can't. So I think Arsenal should integrate him back into the squad.
There must be a reason why the manager's not. Arteta. If you're not his cup of tea, you're not his cup of tea.
Yeah, he's got to get over that.
Was there any standout performers for you guys, Marks?
Do you know what? There was a few, you know.
What are you saying?
Bissoma.
Tottenham, yeah, good.
Again,
To me,
starting with Tottenham again.
No, but it has to.
Are you sure you're Arsenal?
Bro, come on, let him know.
Me let him know, you let him know.
On the real, he's had a good couple of games. He's looking like he's revived. He's playing under a manager that rates him.
Would you take him in as Xhaka replacement?
Nah, I'm happy with what Arsenal have got. I'm really happy with that. I've got a couple. Do you mind if I reel off a couple who I thought stood out?
Go true.
João Pedro at Brighton.
Brighton.
That's kind of gone under the radar. I feel like a few people haven't noticed that he's made the move to Brighton.
I didn't even know till we spoke previously, but how much did he go for?
I don't even know what the fee was, you know.
That'll be
We'll have to
interesting
check the
to
fee.
know.
That hit us in the comments. Let us know how much he went for.
If anyone knows.
But his first performance, I was impressed. I was looking at him and I was thinking, that's the kind of player that Brighton go for, under the radar, and then he just shocks everybody.
Yeah, good.
Nice baller. Diaby for Aston Villa. Although they lost against Newcastle, I think he showed up and he showed us what he can do. And I think Villa fans have got a lot to be excited there.
Yeah.
I can see him linking up with Watkins, and I just think they've got a decent team, and him adding to their team just makes a difference.
Bailey as well.
Bailey, good players. Another player, I'm gonna just name one more.
Oh, Jaffrey, he was 30 million.
30 mil.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's a good
Substantial
sign.
amount of money.
In today's market.
That's club record fee for Brighton. The amount of money they've been pulling in, 30 million, that's light for them. So
but
again, they're tight with the shoot. Well done to them.
They're very tight with
business.
business, and they don't really sign players that don't hit. I can't remember a Brighton player that hasn't done well for them. Anyway, my last player that I think that not that they've done well, but I can see them fitting into their team. Yeah, James Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, good signing. Good sign. You kind of know what you're getting with him. Like,
2 assists straight away.
Yeah, but that's what he does. So that was a no-brainer. I'm surprised. Your man used it and just go for him as just to rotate him even. Like,
we're gonna get into Man U fans, just wait, because we got some stuff to discuss. Like, we got a lot to talk about, especially regarding signings. So yeah, but Ward-Prowse, you know what you're getting. It's just
dead ball specialist.
It's just him. That's what he does. He will get a few assists. He will get a few goals from free kicks, and I think West Ham have made a very good signing there. Very good signing.
Maestro, what's your thoughts, man? Who do you think's
2 standout signings for me? No bias, but Declan Rice. I like the way he's just slotted into the Arsenal team. He almost got a lovely assist in the last game. Slight through ball to Nketiah, who scooped the ball over the bar, but Rice, he covered nearly every blade of grass that game as well.
Is he worth 100 mil?
In today's fluctuated market, my answer is going to be yes.
Oh, but Casado is not.
Based on the past 2 games, no. Okay. But Rice, I feel like 10 years ago, whatever the top price was then, whether it be 50 mil, we would have paid that for him. 30 years ago, if it was 30 mil, we would have paid that for him. So
I agree.
Yeah, he's brilliant, man. So he's been a standout performer for me.
He has played well.
Another one for me was Tonali at Newcastle.
Okay.
I was smiling watching him play. Yeah, he just seems so elegant. Just little flicks, tricks, just late runs into the box, got a goal. And another thing I liked about him, he got 2 yellow cards in 2 games. Now I don't know, you might say why they like that, but he just shows his commitment and his desire to perform well for the Toon Army. So I was really pleased to see him do well. And there was one more for me, Mbeumo. Now many people are saying, Tony's not going to be leading the line for Brentford for the first few months. So Brentford are going to get a few. Well, I thought Brentford would get a few more draws, and they've got 1 out of 2 draws and the win as well. But Mbeumo, his penalty the other day, I'm not going to say Tony-esque, but he slotted it into that corner and just.
I'm just going to piggyback off the back of that, and I just have to shout out. What's the other guy up front? For
Wissa.
Yeah, man.
Hey.
He's doing what he's got to do.
What country is he from?
Wissa.
Dan
just keeps throwing questions out there. When I hit Daniel with a question in a minute, you better have the answer.
You're not going to see how important my knowledge is about football. Knowledge about football. Wissa, I believe he might be French. I get a feeling he's French or something, but I might be wrong.
I want to say Senegal, but
Senegalese. Wait! Before you Google it, I said French. He says Senegalese. What are you saying? Before you don't press that.
I think it somewhere in West Africa.
You're watching the Onside Offside podcast. We hope you guys are enjoying the show. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Let's go.
Well, born in France, but it represents DR Congo. Alright then.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Knowledge, guys. Knowledge of the football game.
So I hear what you're saying, Mark. Yeah, Wissa has linked up well with Mbeumo. So yeah, Rice, Tonali and Mbeumo have definitely been the standout performers for me.
I think you'll find if you go back to our first episode, I think I mentioned Wissa.
He's quite quick.
As someone to look out for Brentford.
He's fast.
Well, and yourself then? Any standout performance for you this week?
And me.
Or over the past 2 weeks?
I like the way that Soboslai. Is it Soboslai?
Yeah, for Liverpool.
Yeah,
he's kind of like he reminds me of like a younger Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
Like he's got his height, his strength. You get what I'm saying? His shots, the way he shoots from outside. I'm impressed with the way he's been playing.
His attributes, I find him more exciting.
Than
Kevin De Bruyne.
DRB Villa, you mentioned him before. He's quick. I think he's gonna do very well in the Premier League. And who else? At the moment, no one fairly new, but them two have stood out for me.
So, like, how do you think the promoted teams have got on? Now, your first look at them.
Ooh.
What do you think, Ali?
I'm gonna keep it real. They've all lost, so far. I think Luton have played 1 and Burnley have played 1. Sheffield United have played 2, but they've lost all their games. That's kind of what I predicted, man. No disrespect to them, because they still big them up for competing at this level. But I just think it's kind of what I expected. You know what I mean? It don't matter who they're going to sign. It's going to be a struggle. Automatically, it's going to be a struggle this season. But then saying that, you always get that one team sometimes that wonders and just creeps up the league. Like your Brightons when they first come into the league.
Yeah.
But like I say, I expected this.
The promoted teams have had a real baptism of fire. Luton, they faced the high mighty Brighton, and that was tricky. Burnley started off against Manchester City, and Sheffield, well, they played Forest, but the game before that they also lost. So it has been a tricky start. And as Dan said, I think we all put them down near our bottom three.
Yeah.
At least 2 out of the 3 promoted teams we put in our 3 to go down. So it has been the start that we expected, and this week looks even trickier for them. So
do you
let's
think, guys? Do you think during the season one of those 3 teams, Sheffield United, Burnley, or Luton, will cause a major upset throughout the season? One of them will beat like a Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea.
You could see that potentially happening. Yeah, I mean, any game it just comes with its different variables. But in terms of just where they're going to place come the end of the season, I think they're all going to be struggling. Yeah. I think it was quite an important result, Nottingham Forest getting that win against Sheffield United, because I also think Nottingham Forest will be there or thereabouts in the relegation battle. So for them to get those points could
against
feel
the lower teams,
it could feel like 6 points to them later on in the season. True. So, but yeah, I think they're going to struggle. I really do think all 3 of those promoted teams are going to struggle, especially Luton Town.
And the teams at the top, the teams that we said, like Liverpool, Arsenal. Who else was there?
Newcastle.
How do you feel they started, or how did they look?
Well, yeah, they've started strongly, but I think that a majority of people would expect that. It's when they make have bad results, then it's like that's when the jury's onto them. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny though? Like, let me take Arsenal for example. Arsenal have had 2 wins out of 2. Their fan base are not happy.
Some of their fan base.
Some of their fan base.
What do you want? 3 wins out of 2?
Well, I'm happy.
That's a good one. But they're complaining about the fact that Arsenal are playing Thomas Partey in the right back position, and that we're not like killing off these teams by getting 2, 3 or 4 goals. And to me it's ridiculous. I think that what Arsenal are doing right now is they're playing like a different brand of football where they're exerting more possession and more control on the game. And it's making it very difficult for teams to actually penetrate us and get behind our defence.
As Arsenal fans, is it disrespectful for Tomiyasu to not be being a right back and a centre midfielder being in your spot?
No, because I think football has changed so much that you've seen the evolution of like players being able to play more than one position. And when you've got someone like Thomas Partey or Alexander Zinchenko who can play left back or right back, naturally they're midfield players, the way how they play football. They like the ball to their feet, under pressure, they can knock it off, get around and then create space and create opportunities. So if you've got an opportunity that someone can defend to a decent level, but essentially they're a midfielder, you've got extra bodies in the midfield, which means extra threat going forward. Now what Arsenal have done is they've got like defenders who can cover for those players when they get forward. So Thomas Partey is going into midfield to join Declan Rice, then allows Ben White to shuffle out wide to the right, Saliba to shuffle.
And he's almost like a holding defender as well, because when he comes in, he can push on from defence.
And then
be an extra midfielder.
Exactly, and then once Thomas Partey comes into that defensive midfield role, Declan Rice is then free to go forward and join the attack. So then all of a sudden, defenders and midfielders are thinking, who am I picking up? What am I meant to be doing? And then next thing you know, you got Saka, Martinelli just being played through, and it's just havoc. Playing against Arsenal would stress me out.
I hear that.
I wouldn't know what to do.
I agree with you. I think playing against Brighton is going to stress out any team at the moment, because the defensive line seems sure, the midfield seems creative, and then you've got Ferguson and runners off of Ferguson scoring goals. So as much as you're bigging up Arsenal, and I like what Arteta's doing. He's I think he's throwing the opposition off, and fans might not look at it like that, but why do we want Arsenal playing the same way or the same formation or knowing what players are going to play every week? I think last season fans probably got annoyed that we could select the first 11 9 times out of 10. So it's nice to have everyone guessing. As long as Arteta know what they're doing and link up, that's all that matters. Brighton, man.
Quick question,
What's up for them?
While we're on the topic, what club do you guys know? What club Matoma was bought from?
Wasn't it a German team?
But if we don't know, because I don't know, guys, that's why I'm asking the question. But he's a very good player. Big up Matoma. Don't look it up now, guys. If you guys know, I need comments in the comment section. What club did Matoma, that plays for Brighton, get bought from? Please leave in the comment section.
I could be wrong.
I'm tempted to.
I want to look at it, but I want to interact with the public.
Yeah, let's see what the public are saying. But my guess is a German team.
My guess is something like an Austrian team, one of them low-key places.
Austria, Vienna.
What's your view?
I'm gonna say he used to play. Who did Dortmund?
Bro, you're thinking of Kagawa.
This is out here.
Maestro, let's start with you. What are you saying, bro? What did you think about the women's final?
Yeah, no, it was an enjoyable game. I did make sure I set my alarm to watch that. Tight 1-0 loss. Goalkeeper kept the score down, and both goalkeepers, because England could have equalised and gone on to win the game after their goalkeeper made a penalty save. Yeah, I felt it for the ladies because I wanted to see an England victory. It would have been nice. It would have been good, because then, you know, the youth have won the World Cup. A number of England youth teams have won the World Cup, and the under-20s won it the other day. So it would have been nice for the women to win it, and the men to go and win it in the next few years. But just have to move on to the next World Cup and just try again. They're European champions, so you know, got to the World Cup final. So I think the next competition, they roll on and pull their sleeves up and go again.
Yeah, no, it's true. Big the girls up, man. And what about you, Marks? Do you think was you happy with the performance, or do you think they could have done a bit more, or do you just think it was a tight game? Because I noticed that the Spanish was keeping possession a lot of the ball, especially once they went 1-0 up.
Well, the way I saw it is they done well for getting to the final. I felt like it was almost a game of two halves. Spain, to me, in the first half were dominating to such a high level, and I was watching them thinking, this is on a par with some of like their male counterparts.
It was like watching Spain against England male.
Exactly. So I was watching some of it. Yeah, like it was. And I think the thing that you find with the women's football is it can seem a little bit slower than men's football. But in this final, the tempo felt like it was up there, and I was really just respecting what I was seeing out there.
Yeah. I love the enthusiasm of the crowd.
Yeah.
Like when the Camerons went to the crowds, like the crowds were lively and like just cheering the when the goals went in.
Yeah.
Oh, the screaming.
Big the girls up as well, because some of you girls, it doesn't matter what country as well, big up all the women that took part in that competition. You know what I mean? Whether you won or you lost, merits to you lot for being there. I see some of you girls pinging them balls better than certain man. You get what I'm saying? So shout out to the women. I know he's bringing the ball down sick. You know what I mean? Berbatov's touches.
Yeah.
Them ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to ladies. Big up you guys for getting to the final, man. Big
Well
you
done.
guys up.
Well done.
Referees. Who would be a ref?
What do you mean?
I was just starting off. Like, who would be a ref?
Out of us.
That's a good way to start.
I'll keep it real with you, yeah. I'm a guy, yeah. You see, if my brethren were playing a football game, I'm happy to ref it just so the game can flow. But you see, the minute people start being abusive, I can't ref this game no more, innit? Because it'll just go mad for me. It'll go mad for me, yeah. But like, you know what I mean?
So what are you saying? Are you giving credit to the ref, saying well done to them?
I can't be a ref. You get what I'm saying? I can't be a ref, and I can't be a Lano, because Lanos get verbal abuse. They get spat at. I can't do that. So yeah, VAR room, inside the room, no verbal abuse, calm. You get me?
Yeah,
that's
they're
my
not doing their job right, so I think they are getting quite a bit of verbal
No, but
abuse.
I'll make sure everything's patterned. Like, make sure that my vision is gonna be. You see that line when the man's offside, onside, yeah. That's me. I'm gonna be making that line happen to make sure things get right. And watch the stats go up as well of correct. You get me?
You know what?
The reason why I brought it up is because I think many of you would agree that refereeing decisions and performances for the past 2 weeks in the Premier League have been quite shocking.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to think of decisions where I thought, yeah, brilliant, well done ref for playing advantage, or well done ref for pulling that back. Well, instead, it's the same old we're talking about. Right, how's the ref made that decision? How VAR not overturned that decision?
When it's obvious as well.
Yeah, and it's just it's just becoming a bit annoying as well.
I find it disappointing because I'm watching a game and I'm thinking to myself, it's clear as day that something has happened or something hasn't happened and the referee's not seeing it. And you're thinking to yourself, you've got VAR now. Why doesn't someone just radio down and say, look, I think you've missed something? Why can't the referee actually ask VAR? Did I miss something? Did I miss something?
They should communicate.
Yeah, because you can kind of tell from the reactions of the players and the fans that, right, maybe I haven't made the right decision here. Like, let me just check.
Yeah.
I don't
know. Players and fans, especially players, because I've done a bit of refereeing. Players.
Do you know what? I've got to say something though.
They can con referees.
This is important. Why is it in the Women's World Cup, it's okay for the referees to be mic'd up and to discuss their decisions with everybody?
I clocked that.
To me that made a big difference.
A trial run.
Yeah, but the Premier League are not on trial in it. There was another league I saw them doing this in, and I thought to myself, the transparency makes such a difference because you get to see the referee's point of view and how he actually came to that decision.
Or she.
I don't know if there's any. Yeah, there's like one.
Yeah, I heard quite a few. But yeah.
What, female refs in the Prem?
Oh no, because I thought it was the Women's World Cup. Sorry.
Oh no, the women. Yeah, but in the Premier League.
Quick 2 points. One, going back to the decision being overturned. McAllister.
Yeah.
On the weekend, he got a
red card.
He got a red card. Then they looked at it and he got overturned. Did you guys see the incident? Do you agree with it, or do you think it was a red?
I don't think it was a red.
Okay.
But this is where it's a grey area because he got a straight red. Liverpool were allowed to appeal it, and then it got overturned. Because Tomiyasu got 2 soft yellows.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to appeal yellow cards, and to me that doesn't make sense. You should be able to say, do you know what? Look back on the video evidence. At least one of those bookings shouldn't have happened. Let's not have the suspension.
Sienna Wegerman.
Okay.
Depends how you want to pronounce it.
It's very hard. I'm terrible when it comes to pronouncing those names.
But big her up anyway.
Yeah, she done very well. But there was talk of the fact that she might be in line to take over the men's national team when Gareth Southgate steps down.
I think big the women up, because I see Forest Green.
Yeah.
They had the first female manager. I don't think she was there for long. It's kind of like an interim position, but she was there for a couple of weeks. But you know what? Like, I'm not a person that I just love football. I don't care whether it's a man or female. If she was in a club and she was making the team win, who am I to judge her on her gender?
I welcome the change. I think it would be a good change.
I think it's cool because I think the girls have been doing well. Yeah, so I think like now we're at a point in football where they'll never be on the same P's as men, and this is not a man or woman.
They are in America.
Are they?
They forced it in America. Or they didn't force it.
But
the
I
women
think
in
it's a good
America
thing.
worked hard to get the equal pay.
But that's my whole point of the thing. I know that over here it's a bit techie, but I think the women do deserve, because if they're training just like the men and you're performing at a high level
National
and
team, that is.
achieving. Of course.
The women's national
but
team.
even the women's football league, like the Premier League, they're good, man. They're showing them more on the telly now. The girls get promoted, but it's a good level. It's a good level.
I do think there's a case though for how much revenue do they generate, and comparing it to what they get paid, and it's not the same as what the men's football generates.
I think I googled it the other day just to see, and there was a woman that was on 400 bags a year. Like that was their kind of peak. Like she was at the top end, high end. But
as Mark Swell said, how much money is being generated in that league or in the women's game to get the wages up? Because unfortunately, the men's wage, or not unfortunately, but the men's wages are astronomical because the money pumped into the Premier League is astronomical.
Yeah.
And that's the way it gets filtered down.
But hopefully with everything that's going on with the women's football and a good promotion and more time on telly and stuff, that will help the sponsors and stuff, and their game will grow.
And I think that's the point. We want to see them grow. We
Yeah,
want
of
it to
course.
be. We don't want it to just be a thing of like where money gets chucked at it and it grows too fast. Like grow steadily, just like the Premier League has, and you will get your just rewards.
Yeah, 100%.
And just a simple fact as well. Like the average ticket price for a women's football match is about £6 to £8. If you compare that to like going to like watch the men's team, you're easily paying what 60,
Times
70
10.
pounds.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives you an indication of like the gap, you know. So,
I hear that.
but yeah, shout out to the women that play football, and just people that are actually promoting it and pushing it forward. It's a good look.
With game week 3 coming up, we're going to get some predictions from the panel. Elite's going to tell us who he thinks is going to come out on top this weekend. Markswell's going to tell us his, and I'll give you mine. We're going to start with Friday night's game, Chelsea v Luton.
I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea.
3-0 Chelsea, decent score there. Saturday afternoon, we move on to Bournemouth Tottenham. Scoreline there,
Tottenham 2-0.
2-0 Tottenham. For the 3 p.m. kickoffs, we have Arsenal v Fulham.
Arsenal 2-0.
2-0 Arsenal. A lot of clean sheets.
Yeah.
Brentford v Palace.
Oh, that's where there won't be a clean sheet.
Pardon?
That's where there won't be a clean sheet. Both teams will score.
Oh wow, okay.
Both teams will score. I'm saying I reckon about. I don't know. I think Brentford will win 2-1, but I think Palace have got something. But I think Brentford will win, but 2-1.
He got there in the end.
Everton v Wolves.
Wolves 1-0.
Manchester United v Nottingham Forest.
Man United 2-0.
And Brighton v West Ham.
2-1 Brighton.
Those are Saturday games. So moving on to Sunday, Burnley v Aston Villa.
Villa 3-0.
As Sheffield United v Manchester City.
4-0 Man City.
And last but not least, Newcastle v Liverpool.
1-1.
Markswell, just like then, we're going to go with this week's predictions. Scoreline for Chelsea v Luton.
I'm going to go with Chelsea to draw that game 1-1.
Whew. Shout out Luton there. Bournemouth v Tottenham on the Saturday afternoon.
Bournemouth Tottenham. As much as I think Tottenham have had a fairly decent start to the season, I can see that one being a draw as well. 1-1.
2 draws. 3 p.m. kickoffs. Arsenal v Fulham.
Arsenal 3-1 win.
Brentford v Crystal Palace.
I think this is a very, very good match. Two teams that I think are quite close in ability. I can feel a lucky Brentford win 2-1.
Everton v Wolves.
I don't really rate any of these teams, but Wolves surprised me over the first 2 fixtures. Even though they lost against Man United, I think they've done enough to look like they will survive, and they shocked me at how good they actually were. I'm going to go with Wolves to win that one 3-0.
Oh. Manchester United v Nottingham Forest.
Nottingham Forest are not easy, and Man United are not really in a good space right now, so I really feel like this could end up with egg on Ten Hag's face. So Seven Hag is going to get beaten at home 1-0 to Nottingham Forest.
Brighton v West Ham.
Brighton looking good. West Ham are stepping their game up. I feel like Brighton have got this one 2-0.
2-0 Brighton. Then we move on to Sunday. Burnley v Aston Villa.
Burnley versus Aston Villa. I believe Villa will nick that one. It won't be as easy as Elite made out. I feel like this will be a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, followed by Sheffield United v Manchester City.
Sheffield United, Man City. I can't see anything but a Man City win. I'm going to go for Man City 3-0.
And last but not least, Newcastle v Liverpool.
potentially the game of the weekend.
Again, Newcastle again.
Yeah, sometimes Liverpool can just turn up for these types of games. We've seen plenty of 4-3s down the years, but Newcastle Newcastle have got this one as far as I'm concerned. 2-0 Newcastle.
Friday night, I'm going to go Chelsea win, 3 Luton, 3-1 Chelsea. And I'm going to go Bournemouth, 2-1 victory to Tottenham. I'm going to go there. Arsenal v Fulham. I'm going to go 5-1 to Arsenal. Optimistic? Nah, I just think Arsenal are going to come out all guns blazing. Brentford v Crystal Palace. Yeah, tight game there. I'm going to go 1-0 Brentford. Really tight game. Even though you might expect goals, but I feel like the defence is there. They're both quite tight and they're not going to want to let each other pull away so early in the season. So it's going to be a tight game in my eyes. Everton v Wolves. Yeah, as Mark's World said, these two teams, down there, but Wolves did show up against Manchester United, so I'm going to go Wolves 3-0. Manchester United v Nottingham Forest. I'm going Nottingham Forest 2-1. Serious. I'm going Nottingham Forest 2-1. I think Man U, they'll kick on in September. So we're still in August, they can lose another game. Brighton v West Ham. I like both teams. I think West Ham are going to show up 1-1. Sunday afternoon, Burnley v Villa. Burnley are going to turn up, so I'm going to go 1-1 again. And then Sheffield United v Man City. Sorry, Sheffield. 4-1 City, 4-0, 4-1. And Newcastle Liverpool, as Mark's World said, usually game of the week, game of the season when those two teams play. Well, over the years, they've produced some great performances. I'm going to go Thriller 3-3. So that's my predictions for this weekend.
So just to go back one, what was your actual prediction for the Man City game?
Oh, 4-0 Manchester City. Okay. Yeah, clean sheet.
Cool, because you can't be having two predictions.
So clean sheet. Yeah.
I just want to bring something up really quickly. Like this week, Ten Hag has been getting a lot of pressure for the way Man United have been performing, in particular against Tottenham. A lot of fans were unhappy. In the managerial sack race, do you think he's someone that needs to watch out, or?
They played poorly, because I watched that game, or it's either they played poorly or Tottenham just played exceptional. I don't know which one it was, but
funny enough, I think in the first half, Man United were actually playing quite well.
Well, but the only thing that matters is what happens at 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So
was it the manager's fault they lost the game?
I think so.
All right. So would you put him at the front of the sack race right now?
Not at the front, but he's in the mix, because I feel that he's been at United for a long enough period of time and spent enough money on players that I could say they're his players, but he hasn't bought.
Have you seen an improvement in Man United since he's got there?
I have.
I
think when you think about this subject, what we're talking about here, I think last season he had a great season. We're only
good season. Season.
Well,
you won the Carabao Cup. If that's great,
no,
that's great.
A good season, but I mean, like he won silverware his first season. He's got the team playing better, and I think the signings he's bought in this window have improved Man United. But I just feel like 2 games in, they played Spurs, who are a good side, and they played good on the day. But if he goes on and wins the next 15 games, his season's shaped back to how.
I hear what you're saying. I take that on board.
I don't think he's front of the sack race. I think front of the sack race is going to be either Sheffield, Luton, Wolves, or Bournemouth managers, because after 6 or 7 games, they're going to be down there. Man United can lose 2 more games. Wait until September, October, November. If they're still in the mix, like down there at the bottom, then the manager will have some pressure. But a manager from one of the lower teams, I believe, will be gone before then. The reason I think he's in the mix is just strictly because the fan base are really blowing up. They're unhappy with the way how Man United look in terms of like their style of football. And as much as that you guys are saying that you feel that he's improved them, I don't know if he actually has. I feel like they've gone like maybe 1 step forward, 2 steps back in different areas of the pitch. I think he'll be given more time, because the ownership of the club has been what's on the agenda, and what's been restricting them maybe going out and splashing big cash like they usually splash. They need to get some money in and not being able to sell some players. So I think fans can see that it's not Ten Hag, and fans can see that under Ten Hag, Man United will only get better. They just need the backing. They just need the ownership to sort it out.
I think they've been back. They've spent a lot of money. Mason Mount, for example, is one of those players to me that's not a good buy. He's bought Mason Mount, and this guy is definitely not going to do what Man United fans need him to do, or Man United need him to do. It's just not going to happen. That's my point of view.
I think they bought him with the kind of like Beckham kind of vision, like not that Beckham, but
do you know what? To bring into today's times, they've probably bought him with the Maddison vision, thinking he's going to land and do like what he can do. And I don't think he's that guy anymore. He looks short of confidence, and it's not all Ten Hag's fault, but I don't know if he's that manager that can actually like steady a ship. He might be good going to a team that is...
I think he's a brilliant manager. What I think is the recruitment policy. I don't understand what Man United missed in the last 2 games is someone in the middle. They let Fred, midfield. They let Fred go for 10 million. Fred was the only Man U player that covered every bit of grass. You watch Fred play, he's underrated. But he's definitely needed in that middle. Casemiro might be a little bully and do this, that and the other, but he doesn't cover as much, half as much grass as Fred. And Man United fans are seeing that now. 10 mil, they let him go to Fenerbahce.
That's
ludicrous. I think their biggest problem was they didn't sign in the areas that they really needed to sign, and they need a striker more than anybody else. I know they signed
the
Højlund, yeah. They signed Højlund, but obviously he's injured. But I feel like they need why did they not push the boat out and get Harry Kane?
There must be a reason, but we don't know.
That's crazy. But moving on from that subject, but staying with the same football club, what's our view, guys, on Mason Greenwood? We know that his contract has been recently terminated. We're not going to talk too much about the subject as to why. However, he was cleared of the charges. Will he get another club? Would another club take him? And if so, would it be in England? Do you think a team abroad will take him? How do you think that's going to play out?
There's a likelihood that he'll find another club, whether it be in England or not. I'm not too sure. But I think there are a number of sports personnel throughout the world who have committed or been alleged to committed crimes and gone on to find jobs elsewhere. I don't think he'll be in the Premier League.
You don't think it will affect him?
I do. I don't think he'll be playing in the Premier League.
Okay,
but I think there may be a country in the world that will take him on. I don't know where. There was talk about some European teams or Saudi teams, but then I heard them distancing themselves. So, but I feel like there'll be a job for him somewhere, but just not
in the UK.
In the UK or top level football for now.
And Marks, how do you think that will affect him? Do you think it'll affect his performances on the pitch? Do you think he can move on from this situation? Obviously, we just want to say that the charges was dropped, you know what I mean? So that's where we're at the moment. But do you think he can actually move on now the charges are dropped and get his career back?
It's hard to say. I hope he can, because he was a very talented football player, and in this instance we're talking about a human being.
Yeah.
And I think there's parallels to what happened with Benjamin Mendy.
Yeah.
The only difference is Benjamin Mendy was actually cleared of what he was being accused of.
Was Greenwood not?
No, the charges were dropped.
Oh, okay.
So had it gone to court...
Apologies, guys.
Yeah, so no, you was right. The charges were dropped.
Okay.
It just meant that it didn't go to court or anything like that.
Okay.
So that's where the difference is. So it's still up in the air. So he probably will still get tarnished with the same brush as being somebody that accused those crimes that he was originally being accused of. I think mentally it's going to be hard for him to literally move on from that, because even if he does find a club, every single pitch that he steps on, the fans are not going to let him forget.
Yeah, of course.
And that can affect your performance in any walk of life or any job that you're doing. So I think he's going to struggle, and eventually, sorry to say, I don't think he's ever going to get his career on track.
Back to how it was. Well, we wish him all the best, you know what I mean? And we're about to end the show, guys, on this note. Thank you very much for watching the Onside Offside podcast. This was week 3. Shout out to guys, big up Maestro and big up Marks. Thank you very much for watching. we'll see you guys next week.